these are the things that I've always done, right? These are the things that have worked for me.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Jeremy Smith with us. He's been in real estate for 5 years. His first year as a part-time agent, he closed 41 deals. His first year as a full-time agent, closed 78 deals and achieved REMAX's Chairman Award. He's averaged 70 deals per year personally, and he has the 4X Icon Agent Award with EXP. Oh, he's done it 4 times now, right? Currently a team leader of a team of 10. And you're growing quickly. Jeremy's going to come and drop some bombs with us today. We're going to be chatting about a load of cool shit. Also an ex-military man, which we love. So, Jeremy, thanks for jumping on the show with us today to unpack everything that's rocking and rolling in your world.
Hey, Andrew, Peter, thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor to have this platform that you guys have created. Appreciate it.
Before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty, I gotta do some catching up. Confession, I was a little bit running late for this one. However, we're not going to cheat the audience out of knowing your story. So take us back all the way to day one.
Man, so it's actually kind of a unique story where I got into real estate in 2003, but it was in Southern California. I was young and I did it part-time for a couple of years. And then I went full-time in 2005. And where I lived, which a place called the High Desert, the real estate market crashed in 2006. And so I was hurting, man. I was a young agent. I was hustling out there. I was doing well, but the market crashed. I had a family of 6 and I was the only income earner. So needless to say, I failed at real estate. I got out of the business. 2007, I was grateful, that I was actually hired by BNSF Railway out in Barstow, California. And I went from being a real estate agent to being a railroader. Went from making 6 figures to $44,000 in 2007. So I worked for the railroad for about 10 years, moved up the corporate ladder there, discovered that really wasn't where I was supposed to be. It fit a need for a period of time, and I wasn't really supposed to be there. In 2015, my son got a scholarship to Texas A&M through the Navy ROTC program. And me not having any college education, I didn't know that even if you get a scholarship, you still have to pay for room and board and meals. Had no clue. So here I am now in a position where I've got to support him financially. And we were making decent money at the railroad, but we weren't living high on the hog. I didn't have the finances. And I tried to co-sign for him, but they would not let me co-sign because one of the results of that market crash in 2006 for us resulted in a foreclosure and a bankruptcy. So they would not allow us to co-sign for our son, which was the absolute worst position I could find myself in as a father. Had him when I was 17, and now here I am, the biggest part of his life. I couldn't support him do it. So it really lit a fire under me, and I remembered that I liked doing real estate. And here in Texas, the market was different than where it was when I was at. So I figured I would get my license again. I gave myself 5 years. I got the license in 15, found a coach, started training for pretty much the second half of 2015, and decided in 2016 that I was going to start implementing those things that I was learning because I really hadn't done much in 15. So 2016, I did that, gave myself 5 years, which would actually be this year. Gave myself 5 years to have $150,000 in the bank. I did that in 10 months. Got very committed to what I was doing. And in 2016, I closed 41 transactions, left my job and resigned from the railroad. Everybody thought I was insane for doing that because of the losing benefits and losing this and losing that. But what they didn't know is what I was gaining, right? And it was all up to me at that point. So I thrived there. 2017, first full year in the business with REMAX, closed 78 transactions that year, and the rest is history.
That's insane. That's insane. So one of the questions I've got, how the hell did you find the time when you had a full-time job to close 41 deals? That has got to be one of the highest, if not the highest, that we've had on the show, at least to date. Part-time, full-time gig, 41 deals. How did you make that work? Where'd you get the deals from?
Well, from all over the place, man. It was super challenging. One thing that we had to do is get on the same page with the family, right? So I communicated with my wife and my kids, what our vision was, what the goal was, and what it was going to take to get there. So we were all on the same page. It made it a little bit easier. And then every moment where I was not working for the railroad, and we worked 12-hour shifts. So every moment where I wasn't working for them was a moment that I was going to be spending in my real estate career or sleeping, right? So that we all understood the sacrifice that it was going to take. Most of my deals came from old school techniques, man, and still my favorites today. And that's door knocking and doing open houses. Those are my main sources. Utilize Facebook pretty heavily too, just on my personal page, making people aware, controlling their mind, not controlling their mind as far as like manipulating them, but just, controlling that space in their mind. When they thought about a real estate agent, they were thinking about me because they saw the activity levels that I was committed to. So just business started coming to me the more I started taking action and implementing different things in the business. So it was a grind, man. Halfway through, I had to bring my wife on to help on the admin side because it was definitely brain overload. You talk about decision fatigue, man. I didn't even want to pick out my own socks. I was like, I don't want to make any decisions outside of the railroad or real estate because there was so much to do there. But it was a grind. It took a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment, and willingness to be very, very uncomfortable for a short period of time.
For all the family men or women out there, how did that conversation go with your family where you had to have that tough talk of this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, it was actually a really good conversation because the environment that I was in at my corporate job wasn't really working as far as happiness in life. We were making money to survive, but it was miserable. It was a place where I was going there and I dreaded it. And I was in management, so I kind of got it from both the bottom and the top. And it just wasn't a place where I was supposed to be. So my wife has always been very supportive. But it takes that communication, that open communication and a very clear vision, of what does life look like for us in 3 years? If I move up the ladder here, that means I got to spend more time here. That means I got to travel more. That means we got to move to places like North Dakota. Sorry, those of you in North Dakota.
But someone in North Dakota is listening and being like, "Fuck you, Jeremy." Not Dakota.
I know. Those of you in Minot, I love you. I just didn't want to live there. So we decided. They were very supportive, and I said, "This is what it looks like. Like this is what success looks like. If we can do this." We can all be on the same page and supportive and we have success here. This is what it looks like for our family. And so we were excited. We were excited to know that there was a short time from now that we would be in a position to where we could go on vacations, to where I wouldn't be
when you say
working
short
on Christmas.
time, how short are we talking about? We're talking about 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, because then your second year, 78 transactions, like, holy crap, it's almost doubling your business.
Yeah, it really was. So our time period was 5 years. That's what we gave ourselves was, hey, in 5 years I can leave the railroad. So we're going to have to commit to this for 5 years. But what I did was I underestimated what the level of action that I was willing to take was going to result in. So I took that, a page out of Grant Cardone's book and I 10x'd everything. Right. Where everything I did, okay, well, I need to do this. So let me do this instead. And that really, that paid dividends because we reached that goal in 10 months.
One of the things that we were talking about.
Hold on, Andrew. Don't, because I think people missed it because you were so quick to jump. You gave yourself 5 fucking years and you said you did it in 10 months?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think the reason I wanted to jump in here is something we were talking about off air is even before your story began, so to speak, you were in the military, right? Like you worked, and one of the things we see with 99.9% of military people is the level of discipline that you've got from being in that line for those years. It just seems to then go with you through your whole life. Like it's just like you just keep going, you just take action, and whether it's imperfect or not, you just kind of continually progress towards the end goal or objective that you've got in your head. And I think that's a big reason that you've just gone like, I'm going to do this, and there's no other way. I imagine in your head, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just went, this is happening, like it's happening. So it's just like, I'll give myself 5 years, but this shit's happening. Like I'm not doing this other stuff. Like, and you didn't give yourself another choice. And when you committed, when you just went, I'm fucking doing this, it's not whether it's going to happen or not, it's happening. So you can choose whether it's 5 years or 10 months, God, like world, whatever you want is fucking happening. And then they go, all right, we'll get out your way. The world gets out your way when you commit.
Yeah. And it brings you what you need to succeed. It does both, and one thing that I realized and made a decision was that where I was at was not it, right? I've only got one life, right? So do I want to live it miserable or do I want to have an epic life? And that's my choice. So I made that choice that there was only one thing that was going to happen. And, the military really taught me a lot of confidence, being 18 years old and working on multi-million-dollar aircraft and being in charge of them and leadership and learning all these different things that I'm actually capable of doing that I didn't know that I was capable of doing, helped me to look at things from that perspective. Is if another human being is doing this thing, then I am capable of doing that thing as well, right? So the only thing stopping me from doing whatever it is that these folks are doing is me. And so that year, that was part of the realization was that, I failed once at real estate. So there was a little bit of fear there. What happens if I fail again? But then I realized, well, I failed because of me. And so if I fail again, it's because of me. So then now the answer is freaking easy, right? I just don't fail.
Just sort your shit. Yeah. So I'm just going to sort my shit out and we're going to just do this. And that's what a lot of people it doesn't make sense until you see it happen. There's a lot of things in life that are like that, but it's like when you genuinely, like people might have heard the saying burn your boats, but when you really go like, I am doing this, the world has this weird way of like just getting out your way. It's bizarre. Like I'm not saying you're not going to have problems, but like all of a sudden just stuff just starts to kind of start going right in a lot of ways, like, And it doesn't always happen. And I'm not saying, if you just go, I'm going to do it. There's like this weird level of like commitment. Like this is so woo-woo in my head, but it's like somehow the world knows that like you're fucking deadly serious, that this is actually the only way. And you're not trying to kind of trick. Like it's like you have just decided that this is going to happen. And you're just doing it. And it just like fucks off. It's okay when you kind of are half in, half out. It's always hard. Right. That's why I was so impressed as well on the part-time thing, because when you're kind of half in, half out, a lot of people don't find a lot of success. We've had a few on that have, like yourself. I think, part-time, you're probably the most successful because it's like they're just not all the way in. So it's hard to kind of transition like thought processes and brain and get deals done because they're just not committed to the process in the same way. I mean, there is, like, it's funny you said the number 44,000 at the railroad, which is about the average a realtor makes in the US, which is crazy. Like our mission is every realtor should be making 6 figures a year at least, but more like 200 grand. And that's what we do this for, is to introduce this notion of like, there are so many ways. Now you closed 41 deals. I'm not sure what they were, but was that 6 figures or not? Those 41?
Yeah, it was. I know the number because I missed one of the levels of REMAX by like $2,000. I was so frustrated. It was 248,000.
Right. So you made 248,000 as a part-time fucking realtor on top of 44,000 as a full-time railroader. So in your first year of fucking real estate part-time, you did 300 grand, give or take.
Yeah. Well, at that time, my salary with the railroad was up to 105.
Oh, wow.
So
you did 350 grand.
Mhm.
Jeez. That's
Life-changing.
fucking incredible. That's seriously life-changing.
Dude, I don't even know how to contribute to this conversation because I'm sitting here processing the level of discipline and the action that you have taken, and I am reevaluating personally. And anybody who's listening, you should be doing this too. The level of commitment that you had, not only to yourself but also to your family, to change things around.
Yeah.
What did your days even look
them.
like? If you're putting in 12 hours at the railroad company, where do you even find the time to go and show houses? And so 41 of them in a single year.
Yeah, it was very challenging. It was challenging in the sense that one of my goals was that I didn't want any of my clients to know that I had another job. So I wanted them to always feel like they had my full undivided attention. So it was very difficult. Now, the one thing that was good about the job was that we had a pretty unique schedule where it was 3 on, 4 off, 4 on, 3 off. But one of the other challenging parts is that we would rotate every month from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. So the sleep schedule was never really consistent. But we had those blocks of time where it was off. And then I was in management too. So I had some ability, and I'll go ahead. I say it now because they can't touch me, but I had some ability to work on the job, right? Where I shouldn't have been. I'm not encouraging anybody to do that, but that's what worked for me sometimes, where I was, able to make some phone calls and do some emails, while I was still at work, and it was risky.
You were producing at such a high level that you taking that phone call, that email didn't matter because you were probably skipping lunch and skipping that water cooler bitch fest conversation to be able to work on your dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And it became, it got to a point when I finally did resign so much sooner than I had anticipated. But it got to a point where the railroad was now in the way, right? It was in the way of progress and forward momentum. And it was costing me money. So at that point, I knew that's when it was time to go.
Before we dive into the first topic, this has just reminded me of something. I'm not sure if you're into this or any of the listeners are. No, Jim Rohn, famous personal development speaker. And he has something called The Power of Part-Time. And he tells his story where they did, was it nutrition or whatever it was? And he had a full-time job and he was selling this extra thing on the side. And he was like, I just wanted to make $1,000 a month, and I wanted to make, half what I was making in my salary. Then I wanted to make my salary, and then I was making more than my salary. And he said, I always remember this. And he was like, people would come up with me like, why are you still working a job when you make more money from doing this thing part-time? And he was like, because the story's so good. He's like, the story is so good. He's like, I make more than you with what I do part-time, but than you doing your full-time job. And he's like, I didn't want to give up the story. He was like, and to be fair, I'm kind of thinking, shit, you did 250 grand part-time. I'm thinking I wouldn't want to give up that story. It's such an amazing story.
I had to give it up. Something had to give. I was just pressed, man. Life was tough. I'm not going to lie. It was a struggle. And mentally, it was taking a toll on me.
Oh, I can bet. I bet.
Just the mental exhaustion. I didn't go crazy or anything, but mental exhaustion was there.
I'm stunned at that. So I want to dive into your first one. I know people are going to absolutely love this. So the cheapest and fastest ways for agents to get red hot leads. I want to know. We want to know. We want some red hot leads. We've got our big quota. We set our goals.
We got a big goal. We got to get cranking on this. Hot out the press.
These are the things that I've always done. Right. These are the things that have worked for me. They worked for me, especially when I was at the railroad, because I didn't have a budget. Right. I didn't have a budget for marketing. I didn't have a lot of time either. Right. Every minute I spent doing an activity had to count. I couldn't be wasting anything. So I did the things that I know historically are going to work in any market with no budget. Excuse me. And the first one, which I know people don't like to do because it's uncomfortable, but it's actually one of my favorites, and that's door knocking. Getting out there and talking to people. With us being in real estate, this is a relationship business, right? You can be transactional in your business, or you can be relational in your business. And the person who's relational in their business will grow and go farther faster than the person who's transactional. And the reason why that's true is because your relational business, that's what's going to yield you referrals and repeat clients. When you get to a point where your business is consistently referral based, you're doing less work, your return on your energy is higher, your return on your investment is higher, and those are much easier deals to close. So how do you start with that relationship? Well, you got to connect with people, right? You have to connect with people. When I first got into real estate, I joined a team in Southern California, and the guy gave me a phone book on my first day and sat me at a blank desk with a phone. Some of you probably don't even know what these are, but a phone you actually have to pick up and dial on the thing, right? I had to do that, right? And so it was all about connecting with people. So I prefer getting out there in the community, knocking on doors, having real conversations with real people. And I think where a lot of agents go wrong on this is the approach. Like, what are you saying? What are you doing when you talk to these folks that's either going to get you a door slammed or a lead, right? And a lead in your database is somebody that they may be hot right now, or you may nurture them over time. I've got a particular way of door knocking that I started back in 2017, I believe, that in 1 hour's worth of door knocking resulted in 6 closed transactions from the relationships that I started at the door with those people. And it's all about giving. So,
slow down. We have to unpack this. First of all, 1 hour, 6 transactions, that's mental. Second of all, what do you mean when you say the wrong approach? What does that help us understand that? What is a wrong approach? What is the right approach? What are you saying when you're actually knocking on somebody's door? Because that is definitely beyond my comfort zone. And I will be the first one to say it. I hate cold calling. Cold calling is like my second biggest fear right after having kids. I got over it. And I didn't get over the cold calling part, but I got over the fear of having kids because I have one and another one on the way. A door knocking, man, that shit's like right up there with cold calling. I don't know which one I would rather do. Probably neither of them.
Right.
But also I don't know what to do, and typically it's from the lack of the skill set is why you perceive it as painful, right?
Mm-hmm. 100%. And I think the lack of skill set comes from a lack of a why. Like, why are you door knocking? And I think the wrong approach is an agent going out and commencing door knocking with the agent's best interest in mind. I need to get X amount of leads, or I need to get X amount of homeowners that will allow me to talk to them about selling their house. It's I, right? It's an agenda driven exercise for them, versus an agent that is out there to connect with people and to give valuable information and be an asset and a resource to these people. So it's all perspective, right? So when I go out door knocking, my perspective is, hey, I'm an expert in my field. I need to connect with people who need an expert in this field. There's a lot of agents out here that are not experts. And matter of fact, there's a lot of agents that, although they have great intentions, may be very bad for somebody to hire because they don't have a skill level that is conducive to them doing what's best for this person. So now it is incumbent upon me to go out and connect with as many people as I can and provide value to them. So if I go to somebody's door and I knock on that door, it's a very specific reason why I'm knocking on their door. Let's say, for instance, we're doing an open house on the weekend, right? Well, I'm probably going to show up at their door on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it will go something like this. knock on the door, they answer, my body language is very neutral. I'm not arms crossed. I'm opened up. I'm standing back from their doorway. I'm not a threat to them. I may even be talking to them through a Ring doorbell camera. I ring those as well. I don't avoid them. Because you're going to be on it anyway, right? Once you activate the motion sensor, you're on that doorbell. So maybe a conversation through there. But, if they answer the door or they answer the doorbell, the conversation would go something like, hey, good afternoon. My name is Jeremy. I'm with the Smith team here at eXp Realty. I'm not here to sell you guys anything. I promise you that. I'm just coming by to let you know that we're going to be doing an open house at your neighbor's house down the street at 1234 Main Street on Saturday from 1 to 4. Now, we do a lot of advertising for our open houses. So if you're home, you may see a lot of strange cars circling the area. If you see that, don't be alarmed. They're just going to show up for the open house. Of course, stay vigilant, right, about what's going on in the neighborhood. But I don't want you to be alarmed. If there's any parking issues, feel free to come by and let us know. I can leave you my phone number as well. Here's a business card. If you have any issues, you can contact me directly. And then I just shut up and let the awkward silence happen or let them respond. And usually the response is, oh, wow, thank you so much for that. I haven't asked them for anything, right? I've just given them information. And then I'm going to offer more and say, hey, while I'm here, these owners knew when it was time to sell because they get my monthly market update email. We send out an email once a month. It's just, market update information to help you keep up to date with what's going on in the market as far as real estate goes. I would be honored to help you get that, or I would be honored to get you on that list. What's the best email address for you? And there I'm using an assumptive close, right? I'm not asking a yes or no. Would you like to be on it? I did that for a long time and it sucked. So I went to the assumptive close and I asked, hey, what's the best email address for you? Assuming that they're going to find value in this thing. Right now, they're not prepared for that, right? So they're going to be like, either no thanks, okay, cool, no worries, or most of the time it's, oh yeah, sure, that'd be great. It's boom, 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 okay, cool, awesome. And before I go, I did promise the homeowners that I would ask whoever I talked to if they knew of anybody who was looking to move into the neighborhood that may be interested in this particular property. Oh, no, Jeremy, we don't know anybody. Okay, great. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Let me know if you need anything, and I'll talk to you soon. And now I've got their email address and I've got their address. I don't even need to ask them for their first name and last name. I can look it up on the tax records. I add them into my database, and then every month they get our market update emails. And we close transactions from those interactions all the time. And we've also illustrated through that script that we advertise a lot, that we get good results, that people trust the data that we're sending to them, and they contact us when it's time for them to consider selling their home.
Wow. I love that. That was a step-by-step walkthrough on how to...
I love how smooth that is too. It's like you got it down to a science. You knock on their door. This is what you do. Here's how you do it. Here's what you say. You're like a smooth criminal in that. Before they know what actually happened,
yeah,
it's already ship sailed.
That's about 1 million rounds of doing that.
yeah, it's a lot. I used to record myself doing it too. I have my phone there, and looking up at me, I would record myself doing it, and how I mirror people's communication. And it's actually pretty funny when you see yourself doing this. You're like, God, I can't believe I said that. But it all comes from the perspective of knowing that anybody who hires me to sell their homes is going to be in good hands, because I am committed to them. I'm committed to serving them at high levels. I'm committed to mastering this craft, learning how to negotiate, learning how to market, and to making sure that their best interests are always at the top of my mind, right? And I'm always giving them the best advice that I can give. So when I go to a door, I know that I'm the best option around for them. So there's 100% no pressure on me, right? I'm just delivering information, and if they want that best representation, then they're going to connect with us.
Do you find that they read the emails and you don't need their phone numbers? Because I know that's another question that we get a lot. It's like, get the phone number, call them, text them.
Yeah, I do find that they read the emails. we're using MailChimp. So I get to see who's reading them and who's not. And we have a very high percentage on open rates on that particular campaign that we send out on that market update. But then, I've got a farm area that I started this in, and in that farm area, I do about 25%. I've got about 25% market share in that community. And what I do with those folks is I'll friend them on Facebook. I'll make sure they're in the Facebook groups. I want them to know that I'm a human being. Like, I'm not just this real estate agent who's out here to get sales and take their money. Like, I want them to see that, yeah, I like to work out and I've got a family and we give back to the community and we do all these things that help them connect with us on a deeper level. So a lot of times I don't even need their phone number. It would be good to have, but I don't always need it.
100%. I think that's great. It's kind of building that relationship, right? People like people who are either similar or they can know, like, and trust in it. And that's what you're allowing. You're going to build. Some people might look at your stuff and be like, that guy, no, which is fine. One of the things that I wanted to just break down was actually kind of the numbers side of this. So let's say how many doors you'd say you could knock in a day, what conversations might look like, and what conversions would look like, and maybe how long those conversions on average take, just so our listenership can go, okay, well, if I do 3 hours a day, I should have to knock 100 homes. Of those 100, eventually 3 will convert in a 6-month timeline. It'd just be good to know after all these years of doing it, what your numbers kind of tend to be around.
Yeah, so I think it really depends. One, time of year, right? So springtime now, leading up to spring is kind of a good time because a lot of people move in the springtime. So I would say, depending, going on that, because when people are listening to this, probably going to be closer to then. So springtime, I would say probably for every 100 doors you knock, you probably get 25 people to add to your database. And that takes into account, people who aren't going to answer the door, people who are going to tell you no. Definitely don't knock if there's a no soliciting sign or if it's illegal in your area. I don't, recommend doing that. But I would say 25, you'll probably get 25 leads. Of those 25, it'll probably result in, oh man, I don't have like hardcore evidence of this, but I would say probably 2 to 3 deals a year from those 25, so maybe 10% of those, as long as you follow up frequently enough and stay on that. So I think if you were to door knock 100 doors, if we break this down into monthly, if you were to door knock 100 doors a month and get 25 leads from that, you would conservatively do 2 transactions a month from it.
Love it. Perfect. That's I think that's great because a lot of people like those tangibles, like just an idea of kind of what that would look like. And by the sounds of it, you did basically 200 a month in your part-time and you got your 40 deals, and that's where they all came from. So, and by the way, you might not have known this, but we've already helped over 100 agents cross over $100,000 per year and up in GCI with our predictable and scalable systems. So if you're interested in learning more about our courses and coaching to help you scale your business to 6 figures and beyond, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.